AEW Grand Slam 2025, emanating from Australia. Oh, it was a bit of a ride to get to the show, but we finally got there. We all know the show was supposed to emanate from a stadium in Brisbane, but then got moved to a smaller venue. It was first thought to be a pay-per-view. This wasn't confirmed by AEW or anyone. It was thought to be a pay-per-view, and then it turned into a TV special. So a lot of mix-up and a lot of ongoing things happening, but we finally got to the show, and not a bad show. Sure, there were some low points. Sure, there were some really high points with the opening match. They're probably going to get some good numbers for the show because their lead-in was the NBA All-Star Game. And, of course, they started with their best match possible. Nice moment at the end. Was I a fan of the match? We'll get into it. But let's start with the match of the night. We might as well just start with the very best, and it was the very first match of the night. Don Callis family, which was Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, took on Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Now, when you hear Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita, Will Ospreay, and Kenny Omega, those are probably four of the best wrestlers in AEW right now, or definitely four of the most workhorse wrestlers in AEW right now. You're gonna get a good match if they're allowed to do their work and if there's no shenanigans involved. You are gonna get a good match, and that is what we got. Got a really good match, and the connection between Ospreay and Kenny Omega, really, really good. But I'm not surprised. I am not surprised by this. Quick strikes between Fletcher and Ospreay to start things off. Obviously, they have an ongoing feud. Kenny gets a huge pop when he tags in and he lands a clean-looking crossbody onto Kyle Fletcher. Then we get a moment with both Kenny and both Ospreay doing Kenny Omega's thing where he taps onto the mat before he does his dive to the outside. Really cool stuff there. Fletcher and Takeshita, though, eventually got the upper hand and started working on the midsection of Kenny Omega. This was pure chaos. It went from a tag match where there were tags to just a tornado tag in the end. Just an outright tornado tag. That was maybe the one thing that I didn't enjoy so much about this match. But you know what? When the execution is so good, you can't deny how good the match was. You know, if this was... I don't want to shit on anybody. If this was the Young Bucks in their current form, in their current state, the way they're currently working matches, I would not have enjoyed this because I know the execution wouldn't have been as good as this. And we saw that recently at the New Beginning in Osaka at New Japan when they took on LIJ. Pretty much similar format in terms of tags in the beginning turned into tornado tag, but it wasn't enjoyable. Obviously, it's not just their fault, but I'm just putting it out there. Like, the execution is what made this, the fact that the rules went out the window, tolerable. There was an awesome counter wrestling between Ospreay and Fletcher, which ended up in Ospreay landing the DDT. He then went for the Osp cutter, and then Kyle Fletcher caught him, but then he landed another DDT onto Kyle Fletcher, so Kyle Fletcher was not having a good day. Ospreay then goes for his hidden blade, but Don Callis grabs the foot while the ref is distracted, and that allows Fletcher to get the advantage. Takeshita then lands a double German suplex onto both Ospreay and Kenny. That was really cool. Takeshita looked like a beast as always. Kenny then lands a powerbomb followed by a V-trigger to Takeshita and gets a near fall for his troubles. Kenny then lifts Takeshita to the top rope for a top rope one-winged angel, but Takeshita's fighting back, and that allows Ospreay to jump up, springboard off, and land a cutter from the top rope to Takeshita. Really, really cool spot. Didn't quite get all of the cutter, but cool spot. Ospreay and Kenny then go for their finishers, but Fletcher and Takeshita reverse this, and Fletcher lands a tombstone, while Takeshita lands a bastard driver. I mean, really good stuff. Again, I wrote here, is this a tornado tag? Just to show you guys, I was thinking that during the match as well. Then towards the end, we had Takeshita like leaning up against the corner, and Ospreay just vaulted over him and the corner, taking out Kyle Fletcher, who was at ringside. Crazy moment. And then they followed that up with a one-winged angel, and then we had Will Ospreay climbing to the top. He lands a hidden blade at the same time as the one-winged angel lands. Awesome looking finish. That's a deadly finish if I've ever seen one. Nobody should ever kick out of that. Yeah, this match was a lot of fun. Exactly what I expected. Obviously, the babyfaces got the win. You know, when you've got these four men, it's going to be good stuff. Not always my style of match, but like I said, when it's executed to this level, you just have to enjoy it. You really do. I gave this match 4.5 stars. It was that damn good, that damn exciting. The athleticism was off the charts, and a good finish to end the match. 4.5 stars. With that being said, let's move on to Mercedes Mone, the current TBS champion, and a whole bunch of other titles that she carries around, as she took on Harley Cameron. Of course, Harley Cameron, hometown hero, someone that's really got herself over with her just comedic timing, her singing, her basically all her talents has got herself over. She's a very talented wrestler, talented lady. In the ring, she is improving, still not the best, but is improving. And you know what? She showed out in this match. I will give her props. She showed out in this match. I have been critical of her in the past. I'm not sure if it's on camera or just in private with friends and that. I've been critical of her in the past, but you know what? She's improving. She's done well, so all credits to her. And perhaps I needed to be a bit more patient. I'm honest, guys. I will be honest if I was wrong. I will be honest. Anyway, we had a standard collar and elbow tie-up to start things off. Harley with a Russian leg sweep early on. It was like a tilt-a-world into a Russian leg sweep early on. Some decent offense by her. They gave her that little bit to show the crowd that she's here to wrestle. Harley gets out the Mercedes Mone puppet from ringside. She put her under the ring, and then like huge pop, by the way. She then uses it to try and hit Mercedes Mone, but Mercedes Mone dodges it and then just kicks the puppet out the ring in anger. Mercedes Mone then begins dominating Harley Cameron for the moment. Harley Cameron fights back with some big strikes. That doesn't get her very far, as Mercedes Mone tries to land a frog splash, but Harley Cameron gets her knees up just in time. Harley then finds the puppet again and basically just holds it while fighting Mercedes Mone. I don't know why, but it's Harley Cameron. Yeah, a little bit silly, I guess, but what did I expect from Harley Cameron? Canadian Destroyer by Harley Cameron for a 2 count. That was impressive. And then a terrible 619 from Harley. But she then goes for a Swanton Bomb, but misses that. And that allows Mercedes Mone to land the Money Maker. Harley Cameron really surprised me a lot. Mercedes Mone got the win with that Money Maker. You know what? She won convincingly, Mercedes Mone. But Harley Cameron still put up a fight. And I think that was the perfect booking for that match. Perfect booking. Mercedes Mone needed to win convincingly. But Harley Cameron also needed to put up a fight. That was good stuff. I genuinely enjoyed this match. I enjoyed it. It was good fun. Decent wrestling. Harley Cameron's improved. I gave it 3.25 stars. Shoot me. But I enjoyed it. 3.25 stars. We then got a quick announcement between Ospreay and Kenny Omega for Revolution. We're going to get Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage. And we're going to get Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita for the International Championship. Banger matches. I'm excited for those two. Absolutely excited for those two matches. That's in about 2-3 weeks time. So stay tuned to the channel for that when that happens. I know it's a long time, but if you have those notification bells on, you'll know when it happens. We then had the Death Riders, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus Cope and Jay White. I can't get used to calling him Cope. I just got used to calling him Adam Copeland. Now I have to call him Cope. The fans were singing Cope's song, which was awesome. So the music went off and the fans just continued the song. That was a lot of fun. Cope loved it, of course. I would also if I was him. The match just starts an all-out brawl. Of course, this is a Brisbane Brawl match. I'm going to just say it now. I got nothing from this match. They did a lot of cool stuff, I guess. They put each other through tables and stuff. I just did not get anything from this match. It didn't do anything for me, unfortunately. I don't know why. It just didn't hit the way. So Cope then dives off of a staircase in the middle of the crowd onto Claudio Castagnoli, and I thought to myself, have you learned nothing? You broke your leg last time. Have you learned nothing, my man? Anyway, Moxley then is about to dive onto Jay White on a table at ringside, but then Cope comes and makes the save, but then of course Marina Shavir and Claudio Castagnoli get involved, and he gets powerbombed through the table by Claudio Castagnoli. Cope then tries to make a comeback, but gets DDT'd for his efforts. Jay White then comes in swinging with the kendo stick and does some damage before landing a hidden blade onto Claudio and goes for the pin, but Wheeler Yuta comes in out of nowhere and breaks up the pin. Wheeler then eats a hidden blade for his troubles. Adam Copeland then spears Claudio into a leaning table and then spears Moxley, but doesn't try to go for the pin. Stupid. Anyway, he goes for a couple of chairs, one including a barbed wire chair, hits Moxley over and over on the back with a barbed wire chair, and then looks to go for a concerto with the chair, but Yuta and Mina Shafir stop him, and then this allows Moxley to just choke Cope out. Done. Cope has been choked out. That is how the match ends. The same Cope, the same guy that is set to face Moxley in the coming weeks. Way to make him look strong. Way to make us think he can beat Moxley. That's how you do it. That's how you book that. Stupid. Stupid. Really stupid. I did not like the finish. Underwhelming finish. I hate. Every time Moxley uses that choke, I hate it. That the finish always feels flat. Flat as can be. Because the choke is just so underwhelming. I don't know why. There's no opportunity to fight back. You know, if you land a sleeper hold, there's opportunity for the guy to get up and try and fight back and then fall again. This bulldog chokehold is just like he just sits there and takes it. I don't like it. I really don't like it. Yeah, there was bullshit chants from the crowd, so clearly they didn't like it either. The match itself, they did some cool stuff. They did some exciting things, I guess. I didn't feel much for it, but I couldn't give it a necessarily low rating either because they weren't doing anything bad. Except for the finish maybe, and that dropped it a bit lower. I gave the match 3 stars because I didn't feel giving it a 2 point something was worth it. I didn't think that was fair by any means. I wanted to give it a 2.75, but I thought that's not fair. That's not the right thing. They went through tables, they did some cool stuff. 3 stars, I think, is fair enough. We then had Kazuchika Okada, the current international he is the Continental Classic champion, taking on Buddy Matthew. Now, Buddy Matthew, hometown hero, apparently hurt himself during his entrance, hurt his ankle. I don't know if it's when he did the stomp during his entrance, I don't know, but apparently he hurt himself. And I think that might have impacted the match a bit. Still a good match though. Some decent counter wrestling early on, and Okada looks like, after some back and forth, Okada looks like he's about to leave, so grabs his title, leaves, but Buddy Matthew gets on the mic and says, you know, I've been calling you a bitch, but instead of that, in Australia, we call you a wanker. And then he came back in and started fighting. We then get a big flatliner and a drop kick from Okada, which gives him the advantage for the bit. But then we get back from the break, which was in between, and they mentioned that Buddy has a bad leg. I'm thinking, when did this happen? I found out a little bit later from the entrance. We then get a neck break and an elbow drop from Okada as he dominates for the moment. Buddy fights back with a running knee and goes for the stomp but misses, so Okada lands the Rainmaker, which Buddy Matthew somehow kicks out. And apparently he might be the first person to kick out of it in AEW, which is a shocker. Certainly a shocker, but I don't know if he should have, I don't know if they needed to do that. I don't think they needed to do that. Buddy lands the stomp and Murphy's Law, but Okada gets his foot on the ropes just in time. So it could have been over there, but of course Okada, with the ring awareness, got his foot on the ropes. Big superplex and a jackhammer by Buddy, but Okada kicks out of the pin and we get another near fall. Buddy then locks in his wife, Rhea Ripley's prism lock. I think that's what they call it, which is with the legs locked up between each other. But Okada escapes, and while Buddy's busy dealing with the ref, Okada gets him with a low blow, and then the Rainmaker for the win. Good match, especially after hearing that Buddy hurt himself. The fact that he could put on that level of match was impressive. 3.5 stars. Another Australian hometown hero not getting the win. I guess we know what's happening in the main event. Mariah May versus Toni Storm in the main event of AEW Grand Slam in Australia for the AEW Women's Championship. Of course, this is probably the match with the most story. I was going to say on the show, in AEW for that matter, it's probably the match with the most story and probably the best story to a certain extent. The match starts off really hot with Toni taking it to Mariah May from the very start. But then we get a sling blade and a drop kick by Mariah, which puts her on the front foot. Toni then with multiple German suplexes, I think it was about 4 or 5 German suplexes, and then begins to dominate Mariah May. Toni then goes for a German off the apron, but Mariah May holds on tight, jumps off, and trips up Toni Storm on the apron, face first. She then follows us up with a drop kick into the barricade, and then we go to a break. After the break, Toni lands a huge clothesline to fight back, And looks like Toni's opportunity now. So she lands in, locks in, an STF variation, and Mariah May looks like she's absolutely suffering. And then she eventually gets to the ropes to break the hold. Mariah May lands Mayday on the outside of the floor, but of course can't get the pin, because she's on the outside. After some back and forth action, Toni Storm lands 3 hip attacks and Storm Zero in the ring. I thought it was over, but no, Mariah May kicked out, surprisingly. We then get a side suplex and a Mayday, followed by another Mayday, but Toni Storm kicks out of that. And at this point, I'm like, how many finishes, guys? How many finishes? Did you need to land 2 Maydays? Could you not have landed 1, got the pin, and Toni kick out? Did you need to bury your own finisher? Anyway. We then get a running powerbomb and a Storm Zero, but Mariah rolls out of the ring this time. And then Mariah goes for a Mayday in the ring after a little bit back and forth, but Toni Storm rolls her up and Toni Storm gets the win off the roll-up. 1, 2, 3, surprise win. She is the new AEW Women's Champion. I expected the victory, but not like this. I enjoyed the match a lot, but the finish and final sequences felt off to me. The amount of finishes they used, the amounts of big moves they used for it to A, not mean anything when it came to the finish, and B, bury their finishes completely. I didn't enjoy that. I guess the roll-up was there to continue the feud, so I kind of understand that. But did you need to do all of that to get to the roll-up? It just felt unnecessary, and for that, I felt their all-in match was miles ahead. Miles ahead. With that being said, I gave the match 3.5 stars. Like I said, I enjoyed the match until maybe the final sequencing and the finish, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. So 3.5 stars. AEW Grand Slam, I think, was a success in terms of doing the best with what they had available to them. Maybe not an success in terms of what they originally planned, but that's not how life works. So in terms of the show for the audience, I think it was good. For a free show, in terms of it being on free TV, I mean, that's pay-per-view level, some of those matches. So we gotta be thankful for that as well. Don't have to pay $50 to watch Ospreay and Kenny versus Takeshita and Fletcher. Gotta be grateful for that. With that being said, that was AEW Grand Slam emanating from Australia 2025. Let me know what you guys thought of the show. Let me know if you guys want me to do more AEW, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.